Welcome to the Unlist, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic that's a little different from what I've been talking about in my previous videos. I've been going on about different fragrances or fragrance houses or fragrance lines, but I noticed that people don't seem to like those as much. They like it more when I point the camera inwards and talk about the online fragrance community, when I discover various interesting facets of how we engage with one another, when I discuss the different concepts, when I dig into the discourses that go back and forth. That's when your ears perk up a little bit and you're like, hey, now I want to get into the conversation. So I'm throwing y'all a bone in this case. And today's topic is going to be wearability. The concept of wearability among online fragrance enthusiasts. So first things first, wearability is not a word. I have done my due diligence here. Most dictionaries, if you type in wearability, if you have built-in dictionaries on your word processors or your smart devices, they redline the word. You have to exempt it out. Wearable is a word. Wearability is not yet. The only exception to that I found is Oxford will recognize it as an informal usage term, which means, Oxford is like the end-all be-all dictionary of the English language. They have every obscure, unknown, archaic, obsolete, regional dialect version of every word ever uttered in the English language since the beginning of time, okay? But they basically say that if you use the word wearability in front of the king, he's going to look at you like an ignorant chap that you are. So it's not a real word, okay? Now, what it is, it's a concept of how easy it is to wear fragrance. That would seem pretty cut and dry. Wearability. How easy is it to wear this fragrance? How wearable is it? What's its wearability score? Okay. Well, how do you feel about that? Do you feel that's necessary? You see, there's sort of two camps here. We can make a Venn diagram because we love those, right? The Venn diagram, right? Covering my face. I look like some kind of villain now, or I look like I'm in an old Madonna video, I'm over here voguing, okay? So the Venn diagram basically has, I wear what I want, when I want, I don't care. Then it's, I gotta have the right fragrance at the right time and the right place, right season, with the right person. All the stars have to align, and then I ascend, okay? Then you have the guys in the middle, which is where I sit, which is, I don't cave to peer pressure, okay? I don't run out and buy the things that the influencers tell me to buy. I wear what I want, when I want, how much of it I want, but I am beholden to certain things that I feel make the fragrance more enjoyable, which in this case is going to be the weather, because I am outside most of the day. So I do not like wearing sticky, sweet, or spicy things in hot, humid weather. And I also don't like wearing cool, crisp, citric, or fresh things in extremely cold, bracing weather, because I feel like those concepts cancel each other out. Cold fragrances on a cold day, hot fragrances on a hot day. It's not enjoyable for me. Outside of that, every so often, if I'm going out somewhere, to a mall, to a movie, to a restaurant, I may decide to wear a fragrance that I feel is more dressed up for the occasion, but I'm usually in a t-shirt and jeans anyway, so I myself am not being dressed up. So even that has a limit for me, which is why I sit in the middle of that argument. However, there are people that are at the diametrically opposed ends of this Venn diagram. The people who are like, I wear Koros in 115 degree, 90% humidity, Florida summer day, and I don't care. And then you've got the guys that, oh, let me go check with my mom to see if I can wear this fragrance, okay? I'll be right back, guys. Mom says I can't come out today, and I can't wear polo today, but she says it's okay if you come inside and I wear Terre de Hermes, okay? That's the other end of that argument. And, I'm poking fun at everybody here, so please no one take this personally. I do understand if you're the kind of person that does factor in social proof and confirmation bias, you want other people to enjoy the way you smell. You're valid, but I feel like everything in moderation. So if people go to the super far extreme of, well, I'm throwing this bottle away because people don't compliment me enough. I'm like that Michael Jordan meme of stop, get some help, right? That's me. That's me doing that to you. You take a whole bottle of something you just paid retail for and you chuck it in the bin because the pretty lady didn't wink at you enough times. Like, come on, man. Come on. So, wearability. How do you define it? Because it doesn't have a set definition. Easy to wear can mean entirely different things for entirely different people. My definition of wearability, which is how easy it is to wear, is kind of a rubric of metrics, okay? Like a college rubric, all right? So my bullet point list for wearability is how much do I crave it? If I want to wear it more, it's more wearable. It's just as easy as that, okay? No science behind that. Just my limbic system goes, I want this, okay? I reach for it more, okay? That's more wearable. 2, does it smell good in more situations or less situations? The more different kinds of weather, different kinds of situations I could find myself in, if I find myself enjoying the fragrance in a wider assortment of situations, times, weather, temperature, whatever, that's number 2. It means I'm going to feel more at ease reaching for it more times of the year. Okay. You can call that more versatile if you want, but I'm not taking situational context into account here. So versatile doesn't really mean anything in the wearability spectrum for me personally. Okay. Because you can have a very versatile fragrance like Dior Sauvage not be super wearable. It just means it gets on in different contexts, but as far as you having to put up with the way you smell more than anyone else around you, no. Okay. So number 3. Does it have the Goldilocks quality? This is sort of a sub-bracket because I got to define Goldilocks quality. So do I like it more? Okay. Does it get on in more situations, you know, weather, temperature-wise? And then does it have the Goldilocks quality? The Goldilocks quality for me is not too strong, not too weak, okay? If I put it on and have to scrub it off when I get home from work, if it stays on my clothes for like 3 days and I have to like, you know, woolite my shirt, if I've got my work shirt on, because I rewear my work shirt a couple times a day because it's a uniform. If I have to woolite my shirt to get the fragrance off, that's too strong, you know? I got to keep reapplying it constantly if it goes away in 4 hours. So it's got to be somewhere in the middle. I got to get my 6 to 8 hours of medium detectability. I don't want it punching me out. You know, I don't want it to be like an oud oil where it's knocking me out constantly, grabbing my attention. So that's it. It can't be too attention seeking for me personally, not for others around me, but just for me personally. It can't be too attention seeking, but it also can't be just kind of fading away into the background. It has to have the Goldilocks quality. It has to sit in the middle. Okay, and then last but not least, okay, because I've got how often do I want to wear it? Okay, situationally, how comfortable do I feel reaching for it? We've got the Goldilocks quality, and then the last one. The last one is economy. All right, so if it's super rare, discontinued, it's a unicorn, not likely to reach for it often, you know, because I'm going to have to worry about running out. I tend to save it for special occasions unless I have it backed up a lot. If I've got a couple bottles of it, then maybe it doesn't matter. You know, like Balenciaga Pour Homme, I've got a lifetime supply of that, okay? All the ones that are rare and super expensive now, like Czar, same thing. I've got a lifetime supply of that. I don't care. But if I had to do it all over again, would those be very wearable fragrances, knowing that I've basically got asset class items now in my collection? You know, I've got museum pieces, okay? No. You know, it's like, you know, you're Jay Leno and you're driving that Chrysler Turbine car, okay, that's one of like 9 surviving, and there are no blueprints, no schematics. So when he blew that engine up, and he did, he blew it up, now he's spending like a quarter of his personal fortune to get the original engineers who are thankfully still alive from the 60s, get them together in a room and have them look at the broken pieces of the motor and try and remember how they designed all those pieces. And thank to God those were smart people that used slide rules and pen and paper. They didn't rely on calculators and didn't rely on computers. So they can recall most of what they did. And they're able to rebuild that car. So that car is like the automotive equivalent of a unicorn. So how drivable is it? Okay? Knowing that you've got a one-of-a-kind piece that if it breaks, you may not be able to fix it again. So that same concept applies to fragrances and how wearable they are, okay? You know, your one-of-a-kind Tucker, one of 48, not super drivable, is it? Okay? Same thing. You've got a bottle of some old Greed Gray, Greed. That's appropriate. I'm keeping that in. An old Greed Gray Craft fragrance, okay? You've got a bottle of orange spice, you know? So again, how wearable is that? You know, you've got a bottle of Petit Pour Homme, which those crank up to about $2,000 now on eBay. But that's ridiculous, $2,000 for a designer fragrance. Same sort of thing, you know? How often are you going to wear that? So you have to think about that. So for me, economy actually matters. So with the asterisk there, the exception being I've got multiple bottles. I don't have to worry about running out, okay? I can sell one off if I want to, okay? It's not a problem. But economy matters, so. There I am with my sparkling water because I'm so bougie. I'm so bougie. I can't drink normal water. It's got to be sparkling water. Anyway, so there you have it. That's my personal rubric for wearability, okay? How often do I personally crave it? How often do I feel like it suits, you know, like, is it enjoyable in more situations or less? Does it have the Goldilocks quality in terms of performance? And is it economically feasible? Is it worry-free to reach for? Can I reach for it as much as I want to? Never have to worry about it. If you go yes, 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 that is a very wearable fragrance for me. High wearability, okay, for me. So for stuff like Zara Pour Homme, Avon Black Suede, Dior Eau Sauvage, those may not seem very wearable to other people, but to me, those fragrances all tick those boxes. So they are highly wearable to me, okay? Y'all may have different concepts of that. So now I kick the ball to you, and I want you to tell me in the comment section below what you think is a highly wearable fragrance, okay? And if you want to go in depth and give me a bullet point list, do that. I'll read it. Might take me a while. I'll get to it, all right? I like engagement. It's no bother. If you want to write me a paragraph, write me a paragraph. Just don't write me like War and Peace, because I think YouTube has a limit on how many characters you can put in a comment anyway. So now I give you an example of why wearability can be a double-edged sword, and I'll wrap the video up with that. So there are two sides to this coin, okay? Wearability is great, you know, and some of my favorite fragrances of all time are what I consider highly wearable. But if you focus so much on wearability that you lose sight of everything else, have you made a truly great fragrance? My answer to that question is no. If your sole aim is to make a fragrance that everyone will feel safe and easy reaching for, and that's it, there's no other desire there, in the end, will they reach for it? Or will they go, nah, that's too easy. Nah, that's just, I want something that, you know, makes me feel like I'm wearing a fragrance, okay, right? So my example for you is going to be this. The 2021 flanker to Mont Blanc Explorer, which came out in 2019. This is Mont Blanc Explorer Ultra Blue. One of the most wearable fragrances I have ever seen in my life. It is perfectly blended, perfectly smooth. There are no sharp edges. There are no harsh chemical undercurrents. Everything is perfectly splendid, measured, meted out, blended, almost to a fault. You smell this, objectively it smells good. You caught this in the air. And I don't care if you are an artisanal hipster, if you are a niche snob, if you are a vintage gatekeeper, you are all those lovely caricatures I've made up over the years. You could be any one of those. And if you caught a whiff of this in the air, you would say, that smells nice. That smells nice. You wouldn't want to wear it yourself maybe if you were any of those guys. But you would say it smells nice. You wouldn't feel offended. You'd be like, okay, this is a good scent to have in the air. If I have to sit in a room with this around me, I won't feel like my space is invaded. I won't feel like I'm being imposed upon. I won't call the person next to me a cologne guy or anything like that. I'm like, okay. I may not tell him he smells good, though, because I'm just like, okay. I can already tell it's not the most original choice of fragrances. But what this fragrance does is it takes Mont Blanc Explorer and it keeps the base and replaces everything else with aquatic notes. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Explorer, Explorer was basically Mont Blanc getting back at Creed, because Creed had sort of taken one of the mods for Individuel and made it into original Santal, and then made hand over foot, and then left Mont Blanc in the dust. They actually discontinued Individuel for a while and then brought it back once they saw how much money original Santal was making and went, hey, wait a minute. So I guess there's a little bit of cattiness there. And it's a fashion industry. Of course there's cattiness. Okay? So they went, okay, let's go ahead and do our take on the Aventus DNA. But we're not doing a clone. No. We're not doing a clone. We are doing a fragrance that actually smells unique, but smells like it's taking a shot at this. So it's a very stripped down, very basic, not as sweet, not as much vanilla, no pineapple. Explorer is kind of like the more brusque blue collar leather jacket, typical machismo sort of take on Aventus. It's like the Aventus for the plain spoken guy. Okay, it's Aventus for the Clint Eastwood type, for the James Dean type. Okay, it's not for the gussied up man that wants to be like put on airs. Okay, it's not that. So if like Aventus is Richard Harris, then Explorer is kind of like Jack Nicholson. Okay, that's how they equate to each other. So this is that base, which is mostly Akagala wood, ambroxan, clary sage, which is represented with sclarine, those things. But then you take all the other stuff off the top, and you put on bergamot and aquatic notes and some aldehydes and some things to give it that very sort of 90s, early 2000s throwback aquatic smell. But then it dries on the very smooth, very polished, very well blended, almost mushy Explorer base, okay? So it doesn't have the sharpness or chemical bite that an aquatic has. So it's just so perfectly smooth and just, so velveteen that it just kind of, it just disappears into the background. And it's great on a hot day, which is why I have a bottle. Clearly, I wear this when it's like 90 degrees outside. So, but other than that, I don't have much thought to reach for it. So how good is it really for being super wearable, but nothing else you can really say about it? And it didn't do that well because it's not on shelves anymore. You have to buy it from discounters now. They've replaced it with Mont Blanc Platinum this year, 2023. So Ultra Blue is probably discontinued. I don't know, but I don't see it around anymore. I only see it online. So, you might want to get it if you want something like this. Act now. Not that it's going to become a unicorn, because I don't think anyone's really going for this either. That's not really being reached for much. But there you have it, guys. That's my example. You tell me again what you feel about wearability, if it exists, if it applies to you, what your metrics for it are, and we'll have a good time. Thanks for watching.